Peace, blessings, and protection, my brothers and sisters in faith, in the name of Yeshua, our Lord and Savior, the Messiah. Today's video is about how I healed from a relationship that I was in with a narcissistic psychopath. So the person that I was with, we were together for long term, and we knew each other for a very long time. And he was not a narcissist. He was a psychopath. Well, he still is, with narcissistic traits. So I'm going to refer to this person as Mr. M. I'm not going to use anyone's real name. So they are a psychopath with narcissistic traits. So there's a difference between a narcissist and a psychopath. Sometimes the malignant narcissist is closer to being a psychopath, but not really. But that's a different video which I will make, where I go into detail about the differences between a narcissist and a psychopath. But please do watch the video that I made about what narcissism is, so that you can understand how a narcissist operates and how a narcissist is born, or how a narcissist is created. So I will put that the link of that video in the description. I'll also put the link on the signs to look out for when someone is either a narcissist or a person is narcissistic. So to get into this video, I am going to start from the beginning on how I healed. And so this video might be a bit long, but please bear with me. And if you've been with a narcissist or psychopath and you're struggling to heal, or you just broke up with them, whether it's a woman or man, because personality disorders apply to both women and men. So the first thing I did when I was still with Mr. M, the narcissistic psychopath X, when I was still with him, I emotionally left the relationship before I physically left. So I was already starting my healing journey while I was with him without even knowing. Because what happened was that the more he revealed his true colors, the more I realized that this person is not changing, they're just becoming worse. And at that time, I knew about psychopaths from documentaries. When you watch documentaries about psychopaths that murder people, I didn't really know much about narcissism. All I knew was that a narcissist is someone that is egotistical, is full of themselves. That's all I knew. So I did not know that Mr. M actually has a personality disorder. All I knew at that time was that this is not the person that I fell in love with. This is not the same person that I've known for all these years. And they were starting to reveal a side of them that was too much for me to handle, because they were very hurtful. And the things that he would say, he would use things that I shared with him, like personal information, that I confided in him about. He used those against me to emotionally abuse me. And at that time, I also didn't know what emotional abuse was. I didn't know about mental abuse. The only abuse I knew of mostly is physical abuse and financial abuse. Those are the two types of abuses that I actually knew and understood. Mental and emotional, I didn't know about those. So when I made a decision that emotionally I'm done with this person, but physically I was still with them. So what I used to do was that every time I went to his place, when I used to go back home, I would always take some of my stuff back home. And then he would ask, like, why are you leaving with your stuff? And then I'll be like, no, I just want to go wash them at home, and I'll bring them back and whatever. So I started collecting my things pieces by pieces, one by one, because I was already planning my escape, so that when I'm gone, I know I'm gone. There's like nothing of mine that I would need that could be or would be at his place. So emotionally, I was done. I wasn't even there. I was just there physically. Then the relationship officially ended on the 26th of September 2021. So yeah, so I've been single for 2 years, September, October, November, December. So I've been single for 2 years and 3 months now. So when the relationship officially ended on the 26th, that night is a night that I will never ever forget. And most people that have dealt with narcissists or psychopaths know what I'm going to talk about right now. On the 26th of December, not December, 26th of September 2021, I was at his place and we had an argument because when I got to his place, there was another woman that was there, which is also a disgusting story because the woman that was in his bed was his older brother's ex-girlfriend. So he was sleeping with his older brother's ex-girlfriend, and him and his brother stay in the same house. I know, nasty, disgusting. So I found him in bed with this woman, and when I got there, I didn't shout at the woman. I woke her up and then I was like, can you leave the room? She left the room. I closed the door and I started shouting at Mr. M and, just pouring everything that I had kept in. I was angry. I had rage. Like I've never felt so much rage in my life before. So I was shouting at him, and there was a beer bottle because he was drinking the beer and the lady was drinking a Savannah. So I took the beer bottle. I thought I was throwing it against the wall. Actually, ended up throwing it through the window. And the Savannah bottle, I think I threw it on the floor or against the wall. But I knew I threw both bottles somewhere. But I didn't throw it at him. And then while we were arguing, he took me, he literally took me, lifted me up against the wall, had both his hand by my throat, and he was choking me, and he kept saying, okay. Both hands on my throat, choking me, and he kept saying over and over again, you are going to learn who I am. You are going to see who I am. You're going to die tonight. You're going to die tonight. And as he was choking me, I could feel that I'm not able to breathe. I'm not able to scream. And then when I looked at him, it was like a demonic figure. He wasn't there. Like it was him, but it wasn't him. His eyes, like you see this white part of the eye, it was completely black. Like both his eyes, it was completely black. There was no white. He has brown eyes. Like I have brown eyes, but his eyes are lighter than mine. But this white part was completely black. And his face disfigured. It was like I was literally looking at a demon. Hence, I always say that narcissism, it's a demonic spirit. Psychopath or psychopathy, it's a demonic spirit. It all goes back to Satan, because Satan is the very first narcissist on this earth. So psychologists and scholars might use these words of saying personality disorders because as humans, we study things because we want to understand them. But when it comes to the spiritual world, there's no word as narcissism. There's no word as psychopathy. It's demonic entities. It's demonic spirits that enter a person. And it causes a person to act like that. But at the same time, a person also has a choice, because most narcissists choose to entertain that demonic spirit, that demonic energy. Because at the end of the day, we all have a choice to make. You decide whether you're going to feed the evil or you're going to feed the good. So as I looked at him, as he was choking me, saying that he's going to kill me, I'm going to die, he's going to show me who he really is. And I just saw this disfigured face and these dark eyes, this demonic face. And then luckily his older brother got home and he broke up what was happening, and then continued to argue. And then when we were outside in the yard, I looked at him and I was like, one day people are going to know who you are, the real you. And I will never ever forget these words. He said to me, no one will ever know who I am because I am very good at pretending. And when he said that, I had no reply, because he was right. He was absolutely right about what he said, because the reputation that he built outside in public, people like him. They like him because he acts as this respectful, friendly, helpful, supportive person. He's always helping anyone and everyone that's in need. Like he's always giving, he's always helpful, he's always talking to people, he's cheerful, he cracks jokes. So people do not know that the person that they see in public, that is a fake Mr. M, that is a facade. They do not know the real Mr. M. And the people that know the real Mr. M, it's his mother, it's his brother, and it's myself, and it's some of the women that he cheated on me with. Some of them saw, as time went by, that something is not right about this person, and they stopped contact. Others didn't stop contact because they hadn't seen who he truly is yet. So yeah, so after he said that people will never find out who he really is because he's very good at pretending, that kind of also gave me closure, but not at that time. So I moved on with my life. I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm not looking back. I'm done with this person. And at first I was angry. Like I was like, not angry, I had rage. I had so much questions, and I was like, how can someone that you've been with for such a long time, you are planning your future with, he had proposed to me, but I'm so glad that I said no, because he proposed 2019 December. He asked me to marry him, and I said no, not because I didn't want to marry him, but because I was like, we're too young. We're still figuring our lives out. Financially, we're not in a good place to get married. There's no rush. Let's first build ourselves, build our careers, take care of our families. And then when we're at a place where we know, okay, financially, we're at a good place, we can start our own family, maybe when we're like 35 or 36, then we can do that. And then he was like, okay, he doesn't have a problem with that. I was so happy that I never said yes to getting married at that time, because it would have been more difficult to leave the relationship. So I had so many questions about how can someone that loves you or loved you, if it was even love, because I even had those questions, just do a 360 turn and become someone that I didn't even know. So I allowed myself to go through all those emotions. I didn't block the emotions. At first, there was a time, I won't lie, where like in the first month of like everything happening and leaving the relationship, I went out, and then I realized like I was going out way too much. Like before I fully gave my life to the Lord, I used to go to Groove. I used to go out and party, but it wasn't something that I used to do every month or every weekend. I would probably like go out once every 3 or 4 months. I'm a person that I prefer going to the movies. I prefer going to the beach. I prefer going to the bookstore, reading a book there for like 2 or 3 hours, and then coming back home. I love going to the gym. So I like those things. And then when I was in the mood to go out and party, then I would do it. But it wasn't something that I was in love with. It's not a lifestyle that I did on a weekend basis. But then after the relationship, I realized that I was actually going out a lot. Almost every weekend I was going out and I was drinking. And then I was like, no, I'm starting to become someone that I'm not. So let me take a step back from going out. Let me take a step back from the alcohol. And then I just would sit with my feelings. And when I was at work obviously distracted me, but there would be times when I was at work that the emotions would come up, and I'd be like, nope, don't cry now, you're at work, focus on your job, and then you can cry when you get home. So when I got home, I would sit in my room and I'd be like, okay, whatever feeling I'm feeling now, you can, I just poured it out. I wanted to cry, I cried, I wanted to scream. I didn't scream, but I would punch my pillows, I would punch on my bed. And I would also use the gym to be able to take out my frustrations and my anger. And I used to go to the beach a lot. Like I love the beach, but at that time I went a lot, like a lot. And when I was at the beach, I would just sit and talk and just talk to myself, talk to the Lord, talk to the water. Like I just spoke because I knew like the Lord is there, He's listening. And at the time, my relationship with the Lord was very lukewarm, I won't lie. I grew up in a family where we were taught about the Bible, we were taught about the Lord, and since I was born, so I knew about the Lord, but I didn't have a, a relationship that I wasn't on fire for the Lord. It was lukewarm. It was cold, actually. It was very cold because my focus was more on the relationship that I was in and my work, more than my focus being on my relationship with the Lord. So then I allowed myself to feel the emotions, and I I wanted to understand how Mr. M was able to do a 360 turn. So I watched videos trying to understand. Like I would like just put like random words in the search bar, and then narcissism would come up, psychopathy would come up, borderline personality disorder would come up, depression, bipolar. And when I watched videos online, 90% or most of the videos that I watched did not answer the questions that I had. The videos that I would watch would mostly just talk about the characteristics of a narcissist, like them being a liar, being a cheater, being egotistical, psychopathy, people that are calculative. But it didn't really answer my question, as in like, for them to be a pathological liar, what happened? Because you don't just become a pathological liar, you don't just become a pathological cheater. Something had to happen for a person to be this way. So most of those videos were not answering those questions. But I ended up doing research, and I also started focusing on my relationship with the Lord. I started reading the Bible again. I started praying more. I normally would pray, but not as much as I did, or not as much as I was supposed to. So I started praying more and started journaling. Not really a big fan of journaling, but I started journaling anyway. And I used to talk about how I feel. I spoke. I didn't just lock myself up in the room. I spoke, I talked. And I made videos on YouTube about what I went through. And then making those videos helped me a lot, because in talking about my situation, there were people who would message me on Instagram, my WhatsApp, my email, and they would actually let me know that I'm actually also going through a similar thing. And then we would like talk and help each other out. So in talking about what I went through, it helped other people, and in helping them, it helped heal me. And I didn't keep in things, I blurted them out. And I spent a lot of time on myself, and I told myself that like I am not going to start a new relationship. Like I'm not going to start a new relationship. I am going to be single for like 1 year. That's something that I told myself, that I will be single for a year. I'm not gonna, no relationship, because I am not in a state of starting any relationship with anyone, because I do not want to bring the baggage that I went through in the old relationship into a new relationship. So I need to sit down with myself and be by myself and deal with my hurt, with my pain, and not take those out on a new partner. So I finished the year being single, and then when I finished the year, I thought, okay, now I'm ready to date. But then I didn't really meet anyone, because in understanding narcissism and in understanding psychopathy, when I would meet people, I wouldn't rush to be in a relationship. I would observe. I would observe a person and be like, oh, okay. There are few people that I met that are like, okay, these narcissists. The others, they were not narcissists, but they had narcissistic traits and they lacked self-awareness. Now, I do not want to be in a relationship or marriage or friendship with someone that lacks self-awareness, because the things that they do that are wrong, they don't even see those things as being wrong. And when you try to tell them that their actions are wrong or their actions are hurtful, they go on defense mode. And I was like, I'm not going to go through that. So I was like, you know what, let me just continue being single and I'm at a point where I'm really focusing on my relationship with the Lord and focusing on myself, my career, and bettering myself as a person. And then the other thing that I did was I also looked at the bad things that I also did in the relationship with Mr. M, because I wasn't perfect either. There were things about me that I was like, okay, I need to change these about myself so that I don't repeat these same mistakes in a relationship that I'll be in future. Because people like to always play a victim. So I did not allow myself to be a victim. I was like, okay, in these situations I was a victim, but in these situations I was also a perpetrator. In these situations I was also enabling Mr. M to get away with certain things. So I was like, okay, I sat down with myself, I wrote down my own toxic traits, I wrote down my own narcissistic traits. As I always say in the previous videos, that we all have narcissistic traits. All of us in this world have narcissistic traits, but we are all not narcissists. Narcissistic traits can be that we are manipulative. I realized that I'm very emotionally manipulative, and that's something that I am so proud of myself that I learned to not do that. But before I learned to stop being emotionally manipulative, I had to understand where I learned that behavior. And in understanding that I was emotionally manipulative from a very young age, because I grew up with very strict parents. And growing up with strict parents, oh, that is a different video. I don't want to add it in this video. But I will say, when growing up with parents that are very strict, there's certain things that you learn to do to be able to not get in trouble. So I realized that I lied a lot because I learned the skill of lying, to not when it came to my parents when I was growing up, so that I do not get into trouble. And that skill of lying just became stronger, and I perfected it as I got older. And my emotional manipulation, it's something that I also just perfected as I got older. So I also had to look at myself and be like, Zandile, you are not 100% a victim. You also have things about yourself that you need to work on. So I did that, and I'm still working on myself. I'm not perfect, and even now now I'm able to be interacting with people, or be interacting with people at work, and then when that toxic trait of mine is coming up, I'm aware, and then I'm like, nope, Z, keep quiet. So instead of continuing with my sentence or with what I was gonna say, I just decide to keep I decide to keep quiet. I decide to walk away. Instead of manipulating a situation, I'd be like, okay, this situation, I was wrong, I apologize, it's not gonna happen again. And then I go back to the drawing board. So now I have self-awareness, and I'm able to be like, okay, I was wrong in this situation, and it's not going to happen again. So I correct myself. I don't just say sorry with my words, I say sorry with my actions as well. And then the other thing I did was a very, very, very good task was, I hope you guys also do this task as well. So I take a clean page, and then I make a circle. I make a circle. So in this circle, inside the circle, oh, the light, I wrote Mr. M. As you can see, Mr. M. And then inside the circle, I wrote everything that Mr. M showed me, like who he actually was. Not the person that I fell in love with years ago, not the person that he pretends to be. I wrote down who he actually is. So I wrote down that he's a liar, he's a cheater, he's bad with finances, he's emotionally abusive, he's mentally abusive, he lives a double life. Like I wrote everything, that he's rude. Like, he was so rude, the way he would He wouldn't care. He wouldn't show any emotion. When I was sick, there was a time when I was actually at his place and I got sick while I was with him, and he literally didn't care. He just went to go sleep, and then I had to tend for myself, to myself, while I was sick. So I literally wrote down every bad thing that I went through in the relationship, and I also wrote down his true colors. I was not in denial about who he was. I didn't write down the fake person that he pretended to be for all these years. And remember, psychopaths are good at pretending more than narcissists. Psychopaths are very calculative. They are sneaky. They really do not, they try their best to not make mistakes. They kind of similar to an artist that I can say is very calculative. I would say Jay-Z. Jay-Z is very calculative. He's a snake, but he doesn't show it. He doesn't leave. He's not sloppy with his work. You know, he keeps his clean image, but if you would actually get to know him and see the things that he's done, most people will be surprised, especially people that look up to Jay-Z. But that's the celebrity that I could think of that is very calculative, very sneaky, a snake, slithers without being noticed. So I wrote everything about Mr. M inside the circle. So inside the circle, I wrote everything. And then outside the circle. Now, outside the circle, I wrote the type of man that I want to be with. So I wrote outside, I want a man that's honest, caring, supportive, loving, that has self-awareness, a man that has a relationship with their mother or father. They don't have to be that close, but there has to be a healthy relationship between them and their parent. And a man that has boundaries, a man that is able to be himself. He has his own individuality. Like, I just wrote down the type of man that I want and the type of relationship I want to be in when it comes around the circle. Sorry guys about the light. So around the circle, I wrote down the type of relationship I want, and the type of man I want to be with. Then what I did is I looked at inside the circle, because there would be times, because the thing is, when you break up with a narcissist or psychopath, because your mind wants to remember the good times, right? You start missing them. So every time I would be like, I miss Mr. M. Maybe I could go back. Maybe he will change. I went back to this. I would look at this. I went inside the circle. I read everything I wrote down inside the circle to remind myself that this person is a pathological liar. They are a cheater. They live a double life. He cheated on you with more than 5 females at the same time. He was sleeping with his brother's ex-girlfriend. He wanted to kill you on the 26th of September. He said the words that you are going to die. You are going to see who I really am. He said to me that no one will ever find out the real me, because I am very good at pretending. He was bad with finances. Like, I would read what I wrote inside the circle over and over and over again to remind myself, to get it through my mind, to get it through my heart, that this is the true person. The person that I wrote inside the circle, that's the real them. That is the true person. So do I want to go back to that? Do I want to go back to a person that made me feel worthless? A person that sucked my energy? A person that was manipulative, that played mind games, that used my personal information? I confided in him and he would use that to hurt me. Do I still want to go back to that type of man? Do I want to have that type of man as a husband? Is that the type of man who I want to be with in terms of having a family and raising my kids? Will he be a good role model for my son? Will he be a good role model for my daughter or our daughter? I was realistic with myself. And every time when I went back to that circle, I would stop missing him. I would stop missing him. I would stop thinking of going back and fixing things, going back and giving him another chance. Because the more I read every time what was inside the circle, it reminded me like, okay, this is who he truly is. And what I want is outside of the circle. And the man and relationship that I wrote outside of the circle was not in here. Mr. M is not the man that I would pray to get married to. The man that I pray to get married to, I wrote those characteristics outside of the circle. But inside the circle, that's him. And that's not the man that I want to marry. It's not the man that I would want to raise my kids with. So I did that task, and I won't lie, this task helped me a lot. It helped me a lot because even when Mr. M wanted us to get back together last year, March, April, May, I was like, no, I didn't hate him. Even by the time he came to apologize about everything. A year later, last year, it was like a year and a few months later, he came to apologize. And then I was like, it's all good. I forgave you long time ago. I forgave you not because I still loved you. I forgave you because I was tired of feeling anger and rage. I allowed myself to let you go. So by the time he came to apologize, I don't want to say it was too late. It was good for him to apologize. Maybe that's his conscience said he must apologize. But for me, I was like, I accept your apology, but I had forgiven you a long time ago. And when I made a decision to forgive him, it wasn't a matter of, oh, I forgive you. And then no. When I made a decision that I'm forgiving this person, Lord, please help me forgive this person and let them go. It was an everyday thing. Forgiving someone isn't something that you just say one time and it's all good. No, every day I'm like, I forgive you. And when I said I forgive, I spoke as if I was speaking to him. I would be alone in my room, and it was as if I was speaking to him, and I was like, I forgive you, Mr. M. I let you go. Like, I said that over and over again every day. And then I just got to a point where when I thought about him, I didn't get angry anymore. When I thought about him, I didn't feel pain. I got to a point where I felt nothing. I didn't feel hate, didn't feel anger, didn't feel rage. It was indifference. I felt nothing. And when I saw him, I always thought if I would see him, I would get angry, and I felt nothing. And in understanding narcissism, understanding psychopathy, I actually felt sorry for him. But in feeling sorry for him, I was like, I'll pray for him from afar. He doesn't have to know that I pray for him. It's between me and the Lord. Now you guys know. But I'm sharing this so that you can also understand and know that you can forgive a narcissist. It's possible, no matter how much pain they have caused you. And to the people that are married to narcissists or have kids with narcissists, it's possible to forgive them, and it's possible to love them from afar. Love them while keeping your distance. Because those people do not change. No matter how much love you pour into them, no matter how much you help them and support them and forgive them, they do not change because they do not want to change. It's only up to them to make a decision that they want to change and be a better person. So those are the things that I did to be able to heal. And now when I think about Mr. M and the relationship, I'm even able to laugh and make jokes about it because it's a lesson that I had to learn. And I was also, I still am very thankful of that relationship because I also learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about the bad things or the bad characteristics that I also have. And I'm working on those characteristics. I've improved so much on who I am as a person. And going through that helped me to get closer to the Lord. And Now I'm a very forgiving person. I always have been, but now I'm like extra forgiving, and I'm very patient, and I never used to have patience. I never had patience. I'm patient with people, I'm forgiving, I'm very understanding. But when I say I forgive, I don't mean I'll forgive a person and still keep on interacting with them. I forgive a person, but once they've shown me that they're evil, that they're bad, that they don't want to change, I'll forgive them and keep my distance. I still pray for a lot of people. I pray that the Lord enters their hearts and their minds and help them to be better. I pray for narcissists. I pray for psychopaths. I pray for witches. I pray for warlocks. I pray for people who do evil on me. I pray for people who do evil on my family. I pray for people who do evil things to other people. I pray for them because at the end of the day, they are also children of the Lord. They were created by the Lord. They might do the works of Satan, but they were created by the Lord. So in praying for them, you never know. Your prayer might just might be the miracle, might cause a miracle for the narcissist to change, for the psychopath to change, for the person with borderline personality disorder to change and be a better person. So that is my story on how I healed from being in a relationship with a narcissistic psychopath. If you have any questions, comments, please do leave them in the video. And yeah, just know that it's possible. It's possible to heal after being with a narcissist or having a narcissistic parent, sibling, but keep your distance. And if it's a narcissist that you stay with, keep your distance. When you have to communicate with them, if you have kids with them, or if you live with them, or you're going through a divorce with them, keep your distance. Your conversations, keep them short. Don't show them emotion. Don't react. They are going to prick you. They're going to do things on purpose. They are going to do things intentionally to hurt you. Don't show them emotion. Grey rock. Be a wall. Act as if you didn't see anything, didn't hear anything. Act as if they didn't even do anything to you. And focus on you until you are able to get to a position where they are completely out of your life, or you are able to be in a financial position where you move out of home and stay on your own and be away from the narcissistic parent or sibling or guardian or niece or nephew. But it is possible to heal. Do the task. Stay single. After being with a narcissist, don't go date. Stay single. You need to heal. You need to work on yourself and do not take your pain and anger out on someone else. Fix you first. Make you happy. Do not be in a relationship thinking that the next person is responsible to make you happy. No, you will end up being in a Jada and Will Smith relationship. Because in the Jada-Will Smith relationship, Jada married Will Smith thinking that he is a safe space for her. He provides happiness for her. And then Will Smith also thought that he can provide this happiness for Jada, not knowing that Jada is not happy. Jada has the husband that was a millionaire. He was a movie star. He had hits after hits on the big screen. Bought the house, had the kids, but she was still unhappy. So do not get into a relationship knowing that you still have a lot of trauma. You are still in pain. You still have anger. Stay by yourself. Be alone. And by alone, I don't mean don't have friends. I mean do not date. Do not be in a relationship. Don't have a fling. Just be by yourself and deal with what you need to deal with and learn to make yourself happy. So that when you are in a relationship in future, you have your own happiness. You have your own individuality. You do not depend on that person to be your safe space. You do not depend on that person to bring you joy and happiness. No one is responsible for your happiness. No one is responsible when it comes to rescuing you. If you do not believe in the Lord, rescue yourself. I believe that the Lord rescued me. The Lord is my source. The Lord is not a resource. The Lord for me is my source. When people leave, when resources leave, I know who my source is, because my source, the Lord, Yeshua, my Lord and Savior, He provides resources that I will need to go from day to day or live day to day. But when those resources are gone, I need to go back to my source. I know who my source is. So if you don't believe in the Lord, you don't have a spiritual, you're not a spiritual person, at least just dig deep within yourself and rescue yourself. Do not put the burden on someone else to make you happy. Do not put a burden on someone else to rescue you. Do not put the burden on someone else to come make your life better. You are responsible for that. And this video is 40 minutes, I just realized. So it's possible to heal. I am going to emphasize this. Stay single until you are okay. You will not get to a point where you are perfect, but at least you will have your own individuality. You will be able to make yourself happy, so that even if friends leave you, a partner leaves you, you are still able to be by yourself, because people cannot be by themselves. Hence, they stay for a very long time in toxic relationships, in toxic friendships. A person is always in a relationship. Oh, in a relationship after relationship, relationship after relationship. No, no, no. You need to learn to be by yourself, mister. You need to learn to be by yourself, miss. And don't use alcohol as an escape. Don't use groove as an escape. Partying as an escape. Sex, drugs. Don't use friends as an escape. Don't use sleep as an escape. Don't use scrolling on the internet as an escape. Deal with you. You need to sit down with your own thoughts. You need to sit down with your own trauma, with your own issues, and deal with it yourself. You are responsible for that. Yes, other people hurt you, but those people are not responsible for making you better. A lot of people hurt me, but if I had to wait for those people to make me better, I would not be at the point where I am now. I had to take the responsibility of healing myself, on being like, okay, Z, you're at this place. Be by yourself, deal with you. I'm able to be by myself. I make myself happy. I bring myself joy. Not with my own strength, but because of my source. Who's my source? Yeshua, my Lord and Savior. So, yeah. I'm sending you guys all the love, or the peace, or the light, and all the protection that the Lord has to offer. Take care.